Welcome to the DMF. I'm Justin Younts. This is part four. I was just making the assumption, your German background. I think that's what sets you
Oh
apart
yeah,
from a
the
lot of other
discipline. Yeah,
actresses and actors is that you're that sense of duty, and that's something that is in that culture. Uh, And that's, but I'm asking, is that a false assumption? Am I just reading into that, or is that true? Or
there is not motivated Germans too. Not
well, yeah,
just
of course there
Germans
are.
as well. But yeah, we are definitely a culture of actions for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know
Like
if
I've
it's
heard the
just
stories of
German or if it's just
yeah.
my upbringing. I
Mm,
I have always had parents that worked, so I always
mm,
was used to that. Um, and I love learning. I always say if you don't learn something new today, it wasn't a good day.
yeah.
And that means you have to make mistakes. You have to be making mistakes to learn what not to do. And a lot of times when people shy away from, oh, I don't want to do this because what if? Or what if I make this
Yeah.
mistake? What if? So what? Then you
Yeah.
just say, oh, wow, this was an amazing experience. I just learned something and let's move on. Let's hope it
Be
wasn't too
open
dangerous. Yeah.
to where it's going. And I think
Yeah.
that's why it was probably a good thing that you mess up on that audition, because you were able to go, okay, this happened, but I'm going to learn from this. As opposed to what happens with some actors, like, oh, I'll never do this again. I'm horrible. I need to go sit in a corner and cry. Instead, you were like, I need to really learn this. I need to be prepared for this and
Absolutely.
and
That
learn from it.
moment prepared me to be. I remember I was sitting doing American Horror Story, and Kathy Bates just did her scene on green screen. And she just came out, and I'm going after Kathy Bates into the room, the
Mm,
Kathy Bates, who's phenomenal. And she was tough, she was good. And then I'm going in, and then Angela Bassett comes out. I said, okay, you're going next. And I'm performing in front of Angela Bassett and all these people. But because I was in it and I knew it and my heart was racing, and that's one thing
yeah.
Billy always said to me, he said, being excited and nervous is the same feeling. So stop saying you're nervous. You're not nervous. You're just excited. And take that,
Yeah.
whatever you're feeling in that moment, if you feel sick to your stomach, if you feel in your throat, if you just have all this excitement. And I got to use that because even though it was a small part, and residuals are still coming in. I got to go into the room with a British accent, and then we just kept rolling. Angela just kept saying, more, Kirsten, let's do it again, let's do it again, and build it, build it, build it. And you just go with it.
Did doing a British accent, did you find that easier than the American dialect?
Yes, it
Why?
was easier. The pronunciations in English, the
Mm,
American pronunciations are different than the English pronunciations, and
mm,
the inflections. And I thought
yeah.
that the inflections in English was more similar to German
Mm,
than the American.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
always
think
thought the
also,
Americans is more of a mumble, kind
yes,
of
that's what I
like
was going to get to. It's
where,
very, it's, it can be very flat. Whereas if you look at most different languages, different cultures, it's this up and down flow. And you see that in the English, you see that, in German, it's coming at you. Whereas sometimes
yeah,
the American is just this, it's just, it's just like,
yeah, yeah,
so I always, I'm always like, what do the cultures think of this? It's just like, because there is almost like a universal language that's spoken. And I think that's what you latched onto with the English is that flow, except for
yeah.
Americans, because we're rebels and we just decide, no, we know how to do it. We'll do it. We're speaking
Yes.
this way.
And you gotta love it. It's its own language and you gotta learn how
Yeah,
to
it
dance in it as
is.
well. It's always like it's more like running through the mud than running through
Yeah.
a field of clear trees here and there. It's just
Yeah.
more like, okay, where are we going?
Yeah. That's what I want to ask you. Will you learn your lines also in German? Well, you know German, but will you say them in German as well as in English? Do
I
you find that
have.
that
If I
helps?
don't, if I can't connect with it in an English way, If
Yeah.
like something is, then I say it in German first, so I understand what I'm saying, and because I want to feel it, I want to feel the
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And if I say, um, I'm going down the street and I'm going to go talk to that woman who's crying right there, right?
Yeah.
But if I say it in German, ich gehe jetzt die Straße runter und werde mit der Frau sprechen, die dort weint. And then I feel, okay, the crying part is the emphasis.
Yeah.
Where if I would have said it in English, I would have thought it was just a going there to the woman.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to the woman, but it's like I'm going to the woman too because she's crying, and it
Yeah.
becomes more of a feeling. So yeah, I do say it in German.
Yeah.
Um, and I've just learned this in the last 2 years to do it in German, where I mean, I
Yeah.
did a lot of stand-up comedy in Germany, improv comedy in German. It was all German.
Yeah.
So it was
High
very easy
German?
for me. Pardon?
Is it high German? High German?
It was High German. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Hochdeutsch.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hochdeutsch. Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
my teacher
Yeah.
would say. You need to learn Hochdeutsch if you're ever going to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they
Genau.
demand you say it this way, and
Yeah.
I like that about, and I can see that that's what you bring to it, that you're willing to be diligent and get in the boat and row, whereas, I'm sure you've seen it in America, we're just like, no, we're gonna go this way because I don't like it, whereas, Germans like, this is the duty, we're gonna go there. But anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about P&D Productions. Talk a little bit about how that came together.
Well, it stands for Party and Diet, really. And the reason why is because I believe in balance. Balance is everything. So balance in life, balance your physique, the way you eat, the way you party, the way you recover, the way you're disciplined about doing your work, the way you play. And so I always said it's a party, but it's also a diet. That means you have to find the balance. And the PD Productions came about because I started writing and directing and producing my own things, because I believe not to wait around. Opportunities don't knock on the door. You have to knock on the door, and the opportunities will then appear, um, with that. And so I just started writing my own short films, started writing my own sketches and producing them. And that's where that came from.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.